Hello, welcome back to the ultimate pantry declutter and organization. It has been at least 2 years since I have shared this space with you, and as you can see, it's a hot mess. It's completely out of control, and that is due to a failed organization system. Some things have worked and some things haven't, so we're going to revamp that today, and I'm going to share all of those tips, tricks, and ideas with you in case you are also working with an awkward pantry space and needing some inspiration for how you can organize it and streamline your food storage and everyday routines to make things function just a little bit better. But before we get into that, I thought that I should probably wash all of the bins and containers that I have been collecting over the past couple of weeks preparing for this project, because my food will be stored in here, a lot of it out of its packaging, and so I want these containers to be as clean as possible. So while I wash them up, I thought it would be the perfect time to go ahead and introduce myself to anyone who may be new here. Hi, hello, welcome. My name is Megan. I am a married mama of 2 of the sweetest little girls in the entire world and 1 pup, and I like to share all things homemaking here on my channel. So that includes a lot of decluttering and organizing, because I do live in a small home. It's just around 1,500 square feet with very limited storage. So I have to get creative in order to store all of our things and make our space functional and suit our needs. I also do a lot of home decorating, room refreshes, DIY home renovations, because we are trying to fix this place up on a budget. If you feel like any of that is relatable to you and this is your vibe, then I would love to have you subscribe to my channel, join my little YouTube family, and keep up with all of the videos that I post here full of tips, tricks, ideas, and projects that we do all around our home throughout the year. So while those food containers are drying, I just want to take some time to sort through what we already have in the pantry. I have tried several times to organize this space, and several times I have failed. There are a few things that I've gotten right that we will be keeping in this space, and I'll show you those in just a second. But I think just because of kind of the shape of it, this long, deep space, they're not very deep shelves though, and just like this middle space that I walk into when I'm going to get food, so I can have just enough to like hug my elbows in and turn around. And then there's these 6 shelves right here, and so I'm going to take everything out, sort through all of the food, and then with the empty organizers kind of put them into place, see how I think they would work and function best, and then we'll start restocking and refilling them. There are a few things that I have loved that have worked out really well in this space, and so I wanted to show them to you. So the first thing that we're definitely going to be keeping is these OXO brand cereal containers. I have tried the off-brand of these, and so many sizes, so many styles, so many brands, and I've always ended up decluttering them because they either started falling apart after so many washes, or the food was going stale in them, or they just didn't work out for what we were needing. This brand, worth every single penny, and I actually purchased a few more of these in another size for snacks because we just love them so much. I love the shape of them. They fit in the pantry really well. They fit on the shelves perfectly. They don't take up too much space width-wise. They do have this kind of ridge here that makes it like a gripping handle, which is really nice. It minimizes like drops and spills and like having to waste food. And then I also love how the top mechanism works. Just kind of rocks back and forth like this to open, and it has its own airtight seal on that, which not a lot of other brands do. I also really love these clear acrylic containers. They're a smaller size, but I also have some in a larger size, and they do stack on top of each other, and I love them for little snacks like this. I've got some protein bars in here, some Trader Joe's snacks. These are great for like the little individual cups of Pringles, or for individually bagged snacks, popcorn even, fruit snacks, things like this. And of course, I told you we are going to be keeping these Lazy Susans. They are just so nice. They're such high quality. They turn really well. They hold a lot, and they're like substantial, so they can hold quite a bit of weight and it not affect how they are functioning. But a few things that we will be replacing, I do not like these stacking wire organizers for our cans. I'm also not the biggest fan of these. I originally got them to make the most use of the vertical space that we had, and they just become a mess pretty often. I also don't like these organizers that are from Walmart. They do have the airtight lid, but it doesn't work very well. Like, we're constantly having to pick them up like this to get them out, and the lid pops off, and then we've had so many spills. And then also our bread box, as you can see, even though it's a pretty nice size, the lid isn't the most functional in this space, and we always end up having things just sitting on top of it because they don't fit in here with the lid on. So I've got an alternative for this as well. Just in case you're wondering, this is the opposite side of the kitchen. So you just saw me washing dishes on the one side where our sink, our stove, our refrigerator is, and then it's kind of just a narrow rectangular shape. So on the opposite side is our only dining space, this dining table, and then just behind me is the pantry, and right next to that is our laundry closet. You open those doors and you can't step into it, but there's a washer and a dryer there, and that means that I'm working with limited surface area to be able to sort through all of these food products. So because of that, and because of how overwhelming the pantry was, I decided to take it shelf by shelf and just pull out everything from one shelf at a time. And the way that I sorted through this was to look at expiration dates. If anything was out of date and expired, then unfortunately I had to throw it away. And then also if anything was opened and had gone stale, so my family's just passing it over and is not going to eat the rest of it, then unfortunately I had to throw that out as well. But anything within date I kept.
Rather be blue than lighthearted. Won't break, just be smarter. Whatever to get back from you. I know that the night has just started. Get up, don't be bothered. Get out there, find some things to do.
You can find those groups local to you by searching your city along with the keywords resale or yard sale and see what's available to you. This is all the food that made the cut. We'll be organizing this back into the pantry in just a minute here. It's quite a bit. There's a lot of categories going on, but I'm pretty happy that we were able to keep like nearly everything. Super embarrassed though that I have even anything in this trash bin at all. When I say that I am thoroughly embarrassed by this trash bin full of food waste, I truly mean it. My anxiety is so high right now, and I did not want to just gloss over that with a couple-second clip. I wanted to chat face-to-face and let you know how seriously I take it, because I just can't believe that I let this space get this out of control, that we ended up with a trash bin full of food that could have and should have been consumed, if not by us, but then by someone else. It's just completely unacceptable for me. I know that this is due to failed organization systems in here. I know I've talked about it a few times on my channel before, but a lot of you probably don't know that in my early adult life, I struggled immensely with homelessness, housing insecurity, and food insecurity. There were long periods of my life where I did not know where my next meal was coming from. I was relying on other people to notice that I wasn't eating or take pity on me and feed me. There were long periods of time where I was surviving on literally just a McChicken or one McDouble per day from McDonald's back when they still had the dollar menu, because not only was that all that I could afford, but I also didn't have the resources available to prepare my own food or safely store food to be able to prepare it. And so that was my only option for eating and surviving. And that experience has never left me. I don't take it for granted. I try my very best to not overspend or overshop at the grocery store. I try my very best to use up all of the food that we have before we go get more, or to not let things like this happen. And clearly this is not my very best. This is not how I should have handled it, but now that it's happened, I did want to acknowledge it, acknowledge the full weight of it, and let you know that if you're feeling triggered or disgusted by that, it's totally valid. And I just want to let everybody know that this video is not to boast about how much excess we have, or to buy a bunch of excess just to have a satisfying restock or a potentially viral video, or to needlessly spend money on organizational products or anything like that. This is to address a problem, to acknowledge and address a problem that I'm having in my home that I know a lot of people struggle with, and to try to find a solution for it, and to share those tips and ideas with any of you who may be feeling overwhelmed or noticing that you're having excess food waste and you're wanting to fix that and cut it out. So anyway, now that I've made this like so totally heavy, let's lighten it up a bit and do a little bit of cleaning in here and get back to fixing this problem. These scratch marks won't come out, but there is actual like dirt and dust on these now that I've got all the food out. So I'm gonna grab a magic eraser and clean all of these shelves before I try putting any organization in here. This is what we are working with so far, and I'm sure it'll change a couple of times, but I just kind of wanted to get a rough idea of how I could use the organizers that I had. I'm using this basically as a placeholder. There was so much space here, but another one of these bins wouldn't fit, and I didn't want to just leave it empty, and I had this left over because 4 wouldn't fit up on the shelf like I wanted. So anyway, this is what we're looking at so far, and I think to really like get the vision and figure out where I want everything, I just need to start filling these containers. This wire rack can organizer is one of my favorite new organizational purchases. It worked out so well. It holds so many cans for my family and it fits on these shelves perfectly. I'm kicking myself for not putting this together sooner. It just worked out even better than I could have thought it would. And then also these jars with the black lids, I love them for all of these dry goods like flour, sugar, brown sugar, baking soda. We're putting granola and pancake mix in them. And I love them because they have a really wide mouth at the top, so you can very easily just get your measuring cups in there and measure out what you need without it being a whole mess. Like if you've ever tried to scoop flour out of the flour bag, it is not fun. And those containers that I used to have that were almost a square shape from Walmart, also not fun. When they were completely full, it would like pack the flour and it was really difficult, especially for my kids to maneuver through. But these jars have been an absolute game changer, and it's also a little added bonus that I think they're pretty. So if you are looking for some food storage containers like this, they do have an airtight seal. They keep things fresh, but they just have a wider mouth and also more storage capacity. I would highly suggest these jars with the black lids. And of course, everything that I'm using today, I will leave linked down in the description box in case you are looking for any of it or think that it might work in your home for you. I have this extra large jar and I've been seeing people online make like candy mixes for Valentine's Day and things. And I have all of these things of dog treats. So I think I'm gonna make like a candy jar for my dog and just mix all these treats in together to use up this last jar and also to eliminate all of these bags. Okay, so it's actually the next day. I had to take a break and just sleep on it, do some troubleshooting because I was running into some problems. Things weren't working out the way that I had envisioned them, and that's okay. That happens sometimes. If it happens to you, it's totally normal. There are some things that worked out that I absolutely love, like these up here, and also these Lazy Susans. They are fantastic. I don't need to touch those at all. So it's really these bins here are just not going to work with the rest of what we've got going on. Two of them will not fit here side by side because of the trim piece here, and I really need two of them. I don't like that all of our like dinner sides, quick lunch options, and then also our baking supplies all had to be put into one, and I can just see that this would become overflowing with all of those categories in it. So I got these bins instead, and I think that will help me to like separate things into categories more. I'm also going to use one over on this side in place of this bowl for all of our baking things. I have never owned a divided Lazy Susan like this, but now that I do, I will never go back. This has been such a game changer for our breakfast items, being able to see all of the breakfast bars, protein bars, little muffins, the oatmeal. I have found that these are just flying off of the pantry shelves now, whereas they used to just sit all jumbled in a bin for months at a time. And it's because we can see them and access them a lot easier. So now my kids are choosing those protein bars for snacks and oatmeal for breakfast, which of course I love to see because those are a little healthier than chips and crackers. Okay, I have everything restocked now, and this is definitely the most satisfying. My pantry looks all month long, but especially with all of this new organization, it is just looking so nice and neat, and I really hope that we're able to keep it this way. I'm really glad that I didn't just settle for what I had going on yesterday, and instead I took my time and found some new things that would work better to keep this space functioning. I think that I have cracked the code, I've figured it out, and at least from what I'm looking at right now, I truly feel like this is going to be a sustainable organization system with our current shopping habits and eating habits, and I think it'll definitely cut back on food waste and unnecessary spending. If you are interested in getting some updates as we continue to use this system for what's working, what might need to be tweaked, or how well this all pans out long term, then I'll definitely periodically update in future videos. So if you're not already, make sure that you are subscribed and that you've got your notification bell turned on so that you don't miss any of my future uploads and any of those future updates. But anyway, this is going to wrap up this part 2 of my 2024 decluttering series. So I hope that you all enjoyed. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time here with me today. And now I'm just going to step aside and share with you the before and afters of this pantry organization makeover.